We all have fantasies. Top of my list has been a desire to fly, followed closely by a consuming passion to ingest endless, rich, buttery lobster. Well, I know in reality, I'll probably never be able to fly. But today, I'm taking you with me to a place where I was able to fulfill my lobster fantasy, on a journey where foodies' dreams come true. While a good lobster dinner is always a treat, when it's a great lobster dinner, it can be life-changing. Today, we're taking you on a mind-altering journey to what most people consider the most extraordinary lobster buffet anywhere. That's right, we're going to the Palms Casino Resort for their all-you-can-eat lobster buffet. We've reviewed the Palm Lobster Buffet many moons ago. It will be interesting to see how it's changed. We've seen the Palm go through so many changes through the years. It used to be a large corporate-owned company, and the food was absolutely spectacular. The Thai food was amazing. I love the Penang curry they used to make. It was as good as any Thai restaurant in the city. They also had fried chicken, and it was incredible. One obvious difference now, though, is how to get in. They've moved from a first come, first served with a crazy long line and unknowns if you're going to get in or not, to a more civilized reservation system. So no more guesswork and chaos. Make sure to call or look online a few weeks in advance, but once you've secured your reservation, you are assured entry. Just make sure you want to get there 15 minutes prior to your reservation time. Chef Leland graciously allowed us the opportunity to look behind the curtain into the kitchen to see the lobsters and lobster tails being prepared for tonight's massive feast. All the lobsters traveled over 2,800 miles straight from the shores of Maine to the Palms. Given the enormous space set aside in the kitchen for the 8,000 lobsters and thousands of tails that will be served tonight, one thing is abundantly clear. At this buffet, it's all about the lobster. Wow, look at this astonishing endless sea of lobsters entering their bath, getting ready for their debut with the guests tonight.
Come on, girls. Everyone in the jacuzzi. Chef Leland, that water looks a little hot.
Within moments after the first guests are seated, two never-ending lines have formed at the two dedicated lobster stations. While we wait for the line to diminish a bit, it's a good time to try some of the other items. And it's good practice for the delayed gratification class I've been taking. For our first plate, we have shrimp, Caesar salad, and strawberry salad. The shrimp are much smaller than they used to be. Once, they were a colossal size. But times are tough, so things can't remain as opulent as before for the same price. At least they're now serving them peeled. I hate peel and eat shrimp. These shrimp, not as large as they appear on camera, but for what they lack in size, they more than make up in flavor. They're very good quality shrimp. The homemade cocktail sauce served really enhances the flavor of the shrimp. We're both big shrimp lovers from way back, and these were delicious. The Caesar, well, nothing to write home about. And we've been so spoiled lately with one more audaciously great Caesar after the next. So no sense in wasting the calories or stomach space on this Caesar. The strawberry salad, very good. They say you don't make friends with salad, but I've never held that to be true. And it's definitely not the case for this fresh salad with apples, blue cheese, strawberries, and balsamic vinegar dressing. I remember this salad from before and have always loved it. It's light and refreshing. It doesn't come with the blue cheese, but you'll find some in the toppings area, and I strongly suggest it with this salad. It's the perfect foil to the strong flavors of the balsamic dressing. I've always loved balsamic dressing. I'm gonna have to put some aside. It'll make a great palate cleanser and will be a welcome relief from the mass quantities of rich food we'll soon be devouring. Now, on to the barbecue station. Look at the beautiful bark on the barbecue brisket pork shoulder. Again, I remember loving their barbecue throughout the years, and they still do a fantastic job with it. The meat is slowly cooked to perfection, and it's very tender. They give you a choice of sauces, a spicy, mild, and lighter Carolina sauce. Again, I'm loving the pork barbecue. The charcoal taste is well balanced and not overpowering. The fat is rich and delectable. This brisket is also just fantastic. It's as good as you'd expect to find at any barbecue restaurant here in town. I'm loving the Carolina sauce. They've nailed it. Nice and vinegary, sweet at the same time. It's really a compliment to this brisket. I know this buffet is all about the lobster, but barbecue lovers will find a home here as well. Okay, enough of this delayed gratification nonsense. I'm here for the lobster, so let's get to it. They give you one entire lobster and lobster tail at a time, but you can wait in line as many times as you'd like to work yourself up to a collection like this. The lobster's been flash frozen, then boiled, so it's not the same as a fresh lobster. It would be next to impossible to supply this many unfrozen lobsters, so many miles from Maine, for so many people. Look how beautiful this lobster is. I love the deep, rich red of the lobster shell. When you open the whole lobster, you need to turn the tail and it just twists off. Then slightly crack the shell and the meat should slide right out. Wow, this meat is delicious. It's so sweet and juicy. The butter I have is a spicy one. They have a regular one as well. If you're coming here, just know they don't offer you a bib, and be prepared to get your hands dirty. These tails are most people's favorite part of the buffet. They're certainly mine. So easy to eat. It's a pleasure to just tear them from the shell and dip them in butter. The claws, however, present a slightly greater challenge. You first need to tear off the lower, smaller section of the claw, then crack apart the larger section to extract the meat. If you're willing to invest the time, it's rewarding. And dipped in butter, they're even better. But then what is it made better with the addition of butter? These standalone tails are much easier to eat. You can even use your fork and not mess up your hands. Maybe it's the ease of eating them or some difference in the cooking approach, but somehow the taste of the standalone tail is so much better and fresher than the tail from the whole lobster. I could eat nothing but the tails at this buffet and be perfectly happy. The meat of the tails reigns supreme. So sweet, and the texture is nice and firm. They're perfectly cooked. I could sit here all night and eat nothing more than these lobster tails. But there's much more to show you at this buffet, so time to move on to the rest. I thought pasta would be good right about now, but as you can see, this fresh pasta station has been seemingly abandoned by the staff. I guess since most people are practically only eating lobster, maybe they don't feel the pasta station serves much purpose on lobster night. Well, either way, I was disappointed, as I love these live preparation stations. Okay, I know I always tell you, don't eat pizza or bread at an all-you-can-eat buffet. But having waited so long at the aforementioned abandoned pasta station, I ended up getting the pizza, which was right next to it. Wow, 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 what a nice surprise. All the pizzas are fabulous. This veggie pizza was wonderful. Pepperoni is excellent. And this plain cheese, well, I think it was my favorite. While the crust was much better than your typical buffet crust, the real standout was the sauce and toppings. Every bit as good as some of the best pizza places in town. I think even the discerning Italian would be pleasantly surprised by this pizza. But still, go sparingly and get back to the lobster and beef. Here we have our third plate of the night, consisting of tacos, baked beans, sweet potato, and cornbread. Now, for these tacos, they're chicken and reasonably authentic. They don't make homemade tortillas here. That would have taken them to the next level. But they're still good. The chicken has a nice char, and the pico de gallo is homemade and fresh. Overall, pretty good tacos. They did a great job with the taters. Nice and sweet, just like Mom used to make, with a wonderful melted marshmallow top. I love it when the simple is so good.
You had me at marshmallow.
I love the cornbread. Shame on them for making bread the thing you should avoid at a buffet. It's so delicious. It's a little like my mom's. She always made the sweet variety. If you like savory cornbread, this isn't for you. The beans are great, nice and sweet, and made from fresh beans, not canned. I'm impressed. They have hints of bacon and onion in them, and that's what imparts so much flavor. If you're here for the lobster, you might want to just nibble at these beans, because while delicious, yes, they're also very filling. Our fourth plate has collard greens,
Aciote,
roasted chicken, and
Aqua, Pazza.
also known as Italian poached fish. Sadly, none of these were good. We happened to be sitting right next to the station with these dishes. As the meal went on, it became obvious why these dishes were so lacking. This buffet, well, it's all about the lobster, and as such, the lobster trays are replenished countless times. But many of the other trays of food, well, nobody's really eating them. They just sit there, and the food dries out and becomes old and, well, horrible. I'm sure these things are great when they were first put out, but unfortunately, we didn't try them at that time. They used to have pretty good dim sum at the Palms Buffet. That's not the case now. This little green one, not good. It smells and tastes like flavorless cabbage. Hard to describe, but unappetizing. I'm not a fan of the pot stickers either. Bland and uninspiring. The bao is very good, but highly unlikely that it's made in-house. More and more these days, the hotels are buying this type of item from a local wholesaler. And no dipping sauce for them either, just soy and chili sauce from a jar. If you like good dim sum, we've reviewed a number of dim sum restaurants, so please look for those videos on our channel for the best in town. The crab here is definitely secondary to the lobster in popularity and quality. I recommend the Hunh and Bacchanal for crab over the Palms. The last time I was here, they had crab available on ice, and it was much better than this frozen then reheated crab. Also, upon reheating, it falls apart, and you can't really take large pieces out in its entirety. Though I'm pretty good at eating crab, this crab is a tough nut to crack. They also didn't have the Jonah crab claws they had last time, but maybe this varies by the season. All in all, I'm ditching the crab. It's time to go from surf to turf. The carving section is clearly the most popular station, next to the lobster of course, and it's a no-brainer to see why. The meat is definitely high quality, tender, flavorful, with a beautiful slab of edible, delicious fat along the edge. I've noticed a lot of Yelpers and YouTubers referring to it as a prime rib, but it's a sirloin, I assure you. If there hadn't been tray after tray of lobster available, I would have parked myself at the meat station all night to get as much of this beef as possible. And while not prime rib, it's still fabulous. The turkey was also delicious. I don't always go for turkey at these buffets, but this was most delectable. The mashed potatoes are creamy and great. And the jalapeno? Wow, unexpectedly spicy. Maybe the spiciest jalapeno I've had in years. I just loved it. All in all, the carving station was fantastic. As with most buffets these days, they have a dedicated section of vegan options. The pita bread's not homemade, but the hummus is, and not bad. This baba ganoush isn't terrible either. As my old friend Philip used to say,
It's not terrible, I didn't hate it, and it wasn't the worst thing I've ever eaten.
based on this fried tofu, they definitely don't have someone versed in Chinese food in the kitchen. They're painfully bland, not even seasoned with salt. The tabbouleh was just okay. At least you get a bite of something live. That's the nicest thing I can think to say, and the most that I will say. I love Brussels sprouts, but not these. You can't see on camera, but I had to spit it out. Okay, to all my Thai friends, and on behalf of the Palms All-You-Can-Eat Buffet, I wholeheartedly and formally apologize for even calling this Thai food. It's a terrible representation of it. The noodles taste like nothing, if nothing had a taste. They may look good, but trust me, they were not. This Thai chicken is an insult. Just pass on it. The one bright side is that these are the only Thai dishes they attempted. You know, they used to have such excellent Thai food at this buffet. Those days are long past. It's a crying shame. Okay, I've walked past the carving station 3 more times now, and I've succumbed to its treacherous wiles. Time for another round of this fantastic beef. As before, it's incredible. The crust on this sirloin roast is so full of rich umami flavor and tons of salt, pepper, and garlic. I'm loving it. And another nice surprise along with it, this fantastic corn. What an amazing recipe. The kernels are freshly cut from the cob, but the standout ingredient is the topping of Mexican
Cotija cheese.
It's a brilliant addition to this dish, adding a beautiful tartness which marries well with the sweetness of the corn. I just love this. On our way to the dessert station, with dreams of sweets dancing in our heads, we noticed we'd missed the mac and cheese, a travesty which must be rectified. So I quickly grabbed a plate to give it a try before indulging in dessert. Ooey, gooey, cheesy goodness, so much flavor. I know they put this here to fill us up so we'll eat fewer of the expensive things, but man is it good. The pasta is not al dente, but it has crunchy breadcrumbs throughout that makes it hard to resist and offers a beautiful textural contrast. Okay, now off to the sweets. As you should all know by now, I have a huge sweet tooth, and no matter how full I am, I always have room for dessert. The Palms AYCE Buffet has always had great desserts. They used to be famous for their homemade macarons, but not anymore. Sadly, I didn't see any tonight. I love these little donuts. They're the same color you see at every Vegas buffet these days. Dense little carbohydrate packages of intense flavor. Inside, different types of jam. Tonight, this one had strawberry jam. It's delicious. This muffin reminds me of Paris, at least until you bite into it. I'm kidding. It's very good, but kind of an American version of a Paris-style muffin. I think it's supposed to be chocolate chip, but tastes more like a bran muffin. The chocolate brownie is good, not great. I won't remember eating it after today, not at all memorable. Oreo cheesecake, yuck. It's so easy to make a cheesecake. It's much harder to ruin one, but somehow they managed to turn delicious Oreos into something almost inedible. Nice and caramely, this pecan brownie, very rich, and the pecans are nice and roasted. This is a keeper. This creme brulee, though not a hard top that shatters like broken glass, it's still very good. Great custard, light and rich with huge vanilla flavor. I could eat a few of these if I had to. Okay, even though I didn't have to, I still did. This little cone is fantastic. I love the cone itself, and the inside is something between a mousse and a ganache with caramel at the bottom. Wow. This French tart, I enjoyed the layers of thin pastry dough that enveloped the egg custard. It was sweet, but not overpoweringly rich. It was delicious. I think this little strawberry cheesecake tart is my favorite. If you come here, you really need to try this. Somehow, they failed with the Oreo cheesecake, but managed to nail the recipe here on this little strawberry dream cake. Here we have the regular cheesecake. Not the best thing I've ever tasted. Considering how bad the Oreo was, this is a step better, but I consider it mediocre at best. Okay, being Italian, I'm loving the cannoli. It's made with amaretto and ricotta cheese, and the shell is terrific. I highly recommend these. And the chocolate cake. I recommend you pass on this cake. It was horrible. I'm a major chocoholic, and this was unfulfilling to the extreme. Somehow, despite it having a dark brown color, they managed to impart almost no chocolate flavor into it whatsoever. Despite being stuffed when I got home, I still ran to get a chocolate mint, as my chocolate cravings were left unabated at this buffet. And now finally for the ice cream. The ube ice cream is not only beautiful, but it's amazing. I love the almost caramel notes. This was an unexpected delight. The ice creams here are probably the strongest of all the desserts. I love this espresso ice cream. The strong espresso flavor, slightly bitter, makes a wonderful complement to the sweetness. And finally, the mango sorbet. Very light and refreshing with a lot of mango, but not too much sugar. An excellent palate cleanser. So, what are we to make of this buffet? Certainly, it has ups and downs. But for the big ticket items that 99% of the guests come to eat, lobster, lobster tail, the carving station, maybe even the barbecue, the Palms AYCE Lobster Buffet is superlative and not to be missed. This plate with 2 lobsters alone is more than worth the $64.99 price of admission. When you toss in the fact it's all you can eat, as well as the spectacular meats, barbecue, and most of the desserts, this buffet is an unmitigated bargain. As for the lesser items, Well, when a buffet is all about a single item, in this case lobster, many of the secondary items get ignored and quickly become a mere shell of their former selves. But since no one is really interested in these secondary items anyway, who really cares? I mean, I'm here for the lobster, so why do I care if the Aqua Pazza is less than wonderful? As for attending the buffet, gone are the long lines, crazy waiting around period, and overall uncertainty. The Palms has made it much easier and pleasurable. You're now able to simply make a reservation to get in. What could be easier than that? We've been here many times in the last year for lobster and enjoyed it every time. But with the new reservation system, it's just that much more enjoyable. I'm sure we'll be back for the best all-you-can-eat lobster in town. Who knows, maybe you'll see us there. Make sure to tell them Let's Eat Vegas sent you. I know we're all guilty of watching YouTube videos and not participating. As a reminder, please like, comment, subscribe, or even become a VIP member. It means a lot to us, and it helps us grow and to bring you more reviews. Until we eat again, bon appetit!